Welcome, ladies. January Donovan here. Have you ever felt as though you were judged, criticized, maybe felt as though people were cynical around your big dream? Welcome to this webinar. My name is January Donovan. I am your guide, and I train women to master their self worth so they don't have to be pummeled around the world and they can truly dare greatly. So, today I'm going to talk about how to deal with critics because this is a big topic. And I train women how to overcome their self worth so they start dreaming boldly and bravely. And it's amazing that the quickest and the surest way to get a critic is when you start dreaming big. So if you have a critic, because you're starting to dare greatly and you're starting to dream boldly, congratulations. Welcome to the club of people who are daring to do something brave and different that often gets criticized, because if you don't have a critic, you're probably not doing something brave out there, right? And so this is about how to deal with them. This is about how to deal with them in our internal self, having the right script, but also how to hold people accountable who are critical. Okay, because I truly believe if we do not learn to hold people accountable, we create monsters. The people just think it's okay. And we create monsters externally, the people around us, but also internally, because we get kind of um, resentful and angry if we don't hold people accountable. So we have to learn how to deal with this. So when you decide to act on a dream, on a big dream, and dare greatly, get ready, because those critics will come out swinging. And it is often those that are dearest to us that pack the toughest punch. And it usually does. And time again, story after story again, just so you already know that the people around us are not thinking ill. They're just well intentioned, but because they know us so well and they see our flaws, and maybe they don't even realize how much we're growing, they want to protect us. So we can't take it personally. We just have to be aware that this is the normal growth process when we start going for those dreams that make us feel frightened, and the people around us are also frightened with us. And when we first decided to kind of paint the picture of what a retirement would look like, or a dream place to live, and we decided, you know what, we're going to move to Florida, 6 children, nobody knows that. Ryan is a full-time business that is thriving in Virginia. Everybody thought we were crazy. Everybody. It was sort of like, you're going to do that? Are you sure you want to do that? You know, with real estate and investment, it's kind of a localized business, but we stuck to the dream. We knew the critics were there. I actually wrote scripts because I knew exactly what the critics were going to say, and they were well intentioned. But I knew that we had to chase this dream, because if I didn't, I would be resentful that I held myself back because of what people thought. And so we were prepared for it. And it was amazing to see the amount of greater risk, greater reward, because now that we're here and we are in our dream home, dream place. But if we would have listened to the people around us, we would have never really, I think, came to a point where we would probably even be close to living the kind of life that we're living right now. So it's great risk, great reward. And it's really important to recognize when these things do happen in our life that we are paying attention to how much we've grown and what we've gained through the process. Okay. Now, I'm going to share with you a personal story, because I've personally dealt with my own personal critic, and some more painful than the others. I would say that families and friends carry the biggest sting for me personally, and it is for most of us, because they know what buttons to push. And so I'm going to share with you a personal story, okay? Because I was intentionally humiliated. Can't say that word. As you might know, I still probably have a Filipino accent somewhere buried in me, but you can't tell because I speak English pretty well, but I mess up my words. But you love me. Okay. So I'm going to share with you my story. One of my close friends, okay, and this was sort of not an acquaintance, a close friend, plastered the letter of humility on my personal Facebook page one sweet day. And I think it was there to remind me that I needed to be humble. I'm not really sure, because if you know what the letter of humility is all about, not drawing attention to yourself. And when you're blogging and when you're writing stories and your face is plastered, you're you're out there. So it's the opposite, or what seemingly is the opposite of being humble, because you have to put your face out there. Well, the truth of the matter is that if I was my choice, I would probably never be in front of camera, because I actually used to throw up when I was in, when I would be in front of camera, literally get so nauseous, or be in public. I do it because I believe in what I do. And I know the only way to get this message out is if I get myself out there. But she somehow felt that it was her duty to humiliate me. So I could feel the scorn of my own pride. And as you can tell, I kind of still get upset about it. I was actually really in shock, because this was a dear friend, and I thought it was out of class that she didn't call me. And I hadn't talked to her in a couple years, and she really didn't know what was going on. I think she read some kind of maybe blog that my assistant might have posted. I'm not sure. But I thought, why not call me? Why not have a conversation? Why not plaster something? And for me, I know at that point I had a lot of internal training when it comes to critics, because I'd sort of gone through little punches and criticisms that, but at this point I felt as though it was a betrayal, because I think she was a dear friend. Um, I was, in some ways, I think, prepared for the criticism, but not prepared that she was my friend. That was, I think, the hardest part. So regardless, I really felt it was a betrayal in my gut, and I felt it in my gut. And I thought, why couldn't you just call me? I hadn't even talked to you in years, and you don't even know what I'm doing. But it happens, and it happened to me, and it will happen to you. Even worse was that the text exchange that came out afterwards, because I was trying to call her frantically and I was trying to have a conversation with her. I said, can we just call? I talk to you? I called actually even, her home line, cell phones, and talked to their daughter and said, can I just talk to your mom? I just want to talk to her. I'm trying to figure out where this came from out of left field. Long story short, there was no conversation, but what came out of that was just this built up anger towards me that I had no idea. I had no idea I was somehow this crazy woman that was doing something that I was hurt to her mind, that was leading people astray. And I said, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I feel as though this is my life's work. Like, have a duty to have a conversation with me, to at least know what I'm doing before you jump into crazy conclusions about what I do and don't do. So it was really it was painful for me. It really bothered me. And I think it took me a while to come to a point where I could use that pain to fuel my courage to speak about it, just like I'm doing right now, so that, people can learn from the situation what it means to be judged out there and to dare to do something different. So number one, I really use that pain to remind myself that women who judge are often women that are wounded, okay? And they might not even know it. But if we can look with that kind of eyes of compassion, it probably means that they've been judged all their life, because they can't quite see past how other people are doing and have a different mindset, or even dare to see something outside their own thought process. I also reminded myself that um, even though she was well-intentioned, she still betrayed me, but she was still worthy of my kindness. And that's tough, to be graceful enough in my thoughts, because she didn't want to have any interaction with me, and the interaction was pretty not so good. I continue to challenge myself to say I need to be kind to my thoughts, even though it's frustrating. But I would lie to you if I tell you that the thought of her doesn't continue to have frustration for my end and cause me to be upset. But I think at the end of the day, I can forgive her from a distance, but at the same time, not want to do anything about her, because sometimes we think of forgiveness that we have to be BFF and mend things. No, I think it's letting go of that season of pain and accepting it. But I know now that that was a friendship for a season, and that's okay. I will probably not see her, maybe in eternity I will, and understand the whole process. But I have no desire for that depth of friendship. And that's okay to let go of that friendship. And sometimes it's really necessary that we can forgive from a distance, but we don't have to be mending things. Okay. And so I learned that one sweet day that there is no courage without critics. And I say that in my head all the time, and I know that intellectually, but when you actually experience those painful moments when you feel betrayed, you realize, wait a minute, this is what it means to be, courageous, that this is what it feels like to have a critic. And so my goal for you today is to give you a little bit of awareness around critics. So because awareness is the first prison we always break ourselves out of, because when we're not aware of it and it's happening and we just end up getting resentful or upset or we're angry, we need to understand what's happening. Okay, number two, I'm going to give you a script that will equip you to face your critics with tender strength. And I love that word because it doesn't mean we're weak, it doesn't mean we're a pushover, but it does mean that there is a level of tenderness, because it should come from a place of compassion when somebody is well intentioned but not really doing it in a way that is kind to us. And so I think that's the art of being a woman, is that tender strength, that no, you're not going to cross me, no, that's not okay, but I can do it in a way where I challenge that person to the elevated version of himself. Now, it's not easy. This isn't a walk in the park. This is a graceful art that needs to be managed and learned and time again built as a skill set. But I do believe that we can arrive at a level of skill where we can um, acquire that tender strength that the world needs right now, because we can't be weak as women, but we can't also be so vulgar and so harsh that we shut people down, okay? Or we just close the door. And so we unite these two skill sets, and it's powerful, ladies, okay? So here's some awareness breakthroughs that I need you to understand that we're going to walk through. Number one is that when you begin a journey of daring something brave and bold, there will always be critics. Okay. And so hopefully this will ease your shock. Number two, our deadliest critics are often those in our inner circle, friends and family. Okay. And it's so be mindful about who you're sharing this big dream of yours, and hesitate to share it. Okay, don't just squander. It's sort of like if you have an infant, you're not going to just hand your infant to everyone. That's like the same as a dream. Okay, remember that your friends and family do not have to understand your big dream. And that was huge for me, because I wanted them to understand, because naturally you want to share with the people you love, but they don't have to understand your big dream because it's not theirs to chase. And nobody even has to understand it. You know, like I think of the Wright brothers. So people thought they were crazy for thinking of an airplane, but that dream was placed in their heart. Okay, so nobody's meant to understand it. However, they do need to respect you on the path to chasing your dreams. It is a boundary you must hold to give yourself the best chance of achieving it. And if you do not know how to communicate and create those boundaries, you're going to get pummeled and you're going to stop dreaming. That's what happens 90% of the time, that people start out daring greatly. People start with a dream, somebody pummels them, and they now absorb the critics as opposed to rise above it. Okay. And so boundary and holding people accountable around us is so critical, so we get the best chance of achieving that dream. Number two, be aware of the wolves that are dressed in sheepskin. And that's the truth. And you, as a woman, have to have the level of awareness that is so skilled, so schooled, so chiseled, that you are so aware when this comes around. Number one, people that are cynical. Even if they love you, they can be cynical, and chances are you should never share your dream with them, not until they're ready. Number two, people that you know are judgmental. You don't feel approval no matter what you do, or good little small things. They're just judgmental, and you know that, so don't share it. Number three, people that are sarcastic. And even though you've tolerated sarcasm before, do not dare give them something that they're not ready to handle, because if they're sarcastic and this is a baby that's an infant, a dream that's an infant, you run the risk of not trying. And it's so important that we take away those sarcastic comments that make us feel like we're probably crazy to try something like this. Number four, when people are not dreaming, when they're not dreaming, when your friends are not dreaming, when your families are not dreaming bravely, chances are they are either threatened by your big dream or they have no concept of what dreaming looks like. And so don't bother, okay? Because there's probably a level of inadequacy that they feel when you start sharing their dreams. So it makes them insecure and maybe leads them into criticism. Number five is if they're not intentionally growing. What I mean by that, if they are not personally developing both their mindset and their skill set, you run the risk of having your dreams around small minds. And small minds are people who probably are not doing something uncomfortable, different, daring, and not growing, and reading books that make them grow to become a better version of themselves. And so really be really mindful of this. Number six is if people around you and you can already sense that maybe they're women that are threatened by you, by your presence, don't bother sharing it because you're just going to rub it in their face. And you can feel it usually when people are threatened and there's a level of insincerity. Just bring your light, um, and almost bless them, but you don't have to share these dreams, and trust your gut, ladies. Okay, number 3 is our dreams always need to be protected in its infancy, and this is what I'm talking about. So be fierce about keeping them away from those that have not earned the right to dream with you. Okay, just like an infant, you do not want them to catch a virus that would set them back. Give your dreams the best chance to grow and protect them from viruses. And sometimes those are our friends and family. Number 4, critics come in a form of, number 1, indifference. They don't really care what you're doing, so they don't say anything, and you might pretend like it doesn't hurt, but you know what, it stings. And I know this personally because I had people in my life who would act as though I wasn't daring anything different, that I wasn't sharing things that are vulnerable, that I wasn't getting myself out there, and they just would never ask. And I would pretend as though it never hurt, but at the same time I'm like, do you really care? Because it is kind of difficult for me to get my face out there and do something different. But the fact that you don't ask, don't really care, or it's happening but you don't care to ask because maybe it bothers you. I don't know. So it comes in a form of indifference. It comes in a form of sly comment, very subtle, yet it packs a doubtful punch. That's the problem. It's a doubtful punch, and it's just like, did you pray about it? What do you think your parents think about it? Do you really think that's possible? I just think that's not realistic. You hear all that tone? I'm sure you're hearing it. Doubtful tonality, they say they're supporting you, but their tone is contradictory. What I mean by this, I say that the distinction is like, yeah, that's awesome, but you can't feel their sincere encouragement. In your gut, you might feel some jealousy. In your gut, you feel like they're really doubtful. They're kind of, yeah, that's awesome. What do you think about this? And you can feel the doubtful tonality in their voice. I probably feel that the most. And I have a lot of critics, and it's funny because it's usually most of these, and chances are you do too. And I now celebrate it. They used to make me cry and sad. Okay. Betrayal, just plain old rejection, especially from people that are close to us. Betrayal is just, I reject you. That's what it is. I reject your dream. I reject what you're doing. I have no idea who you are. You're crazy. You're doing something heathenistic. You are leading people astray. That's what I heard. I remember that same betrayal situation, but she said, January, when I read your blog, I feel empty, blah. And I just felt like I've worked for 20 years. And if you feel like you could just say that, and this is like so deep into my soul, and she knew that really hurt. And it really stung. And I thought, wow, how could somebody who has seen my heart, who's appreciated what I've done and with the work I've done with women, tell me that when she reads my work, it makes her feel blah. And I'm like, gosh, my trainings are actually so deep. You probably have not gone through some of the trainings. I'm like, because, maybe she read one quote. I don't know, but I don't need to figure it out. Okay. And lastly, false motive. It's really, they're trying to discourage you because it's not for their gain. And it happens maybe if you have a boss who doesn't want you to leave because they don't want you, they want to lose a great employee, or it could be a spouse, or could be a son who saying, don't spend money on that because I actually want that money. Whatever it is, there's a false motive. So this is a whole entire world of critics that you might not know that's costing you and causing you some pain. Okay. Number 5, you can't control the critics. You can only control how you respond, period. That's what I've had to learn painfully through and through, and I'm still learning it. The reality is that no great person in history, be Martin Luther King, Albert Einstein, Mother Teresa, was free of critics. Not even Jesus Christ. And so how dare me think I would be free of them? So if you don't have a critic, you're probably not doing something brave and bold, right? You will have critics. If you accept that this is the path to greatness, then you can rest knowing that having critics is all part of the greatness journey. I can, I feel like I've learned a little bit of this skill set, which I think you'll forever be learning about it, because I always feel like you never arrive. You only evolve into your highest self. And I feel some freedom when you can just say, this is just part of the greatness journey, right? Number 6, You could achieve your greatest success, however you define success. By the way, people always think that success is just money or fame. And I said, no, for me, success is my ability to impact people to their highest behavior. That's how I define success. That's where I feel successful as a woman. And so define that success for you. And then they will see, but that it doesn't even matter. They're still going to see all the negative stuff. So really just don't sweat it. Know who those critics are. And it's like, you're not just trying to prove or please them. I used to think that I'm like, I'm going to try to win them over. I'm going to try to please them. I'm going to try to convince them that I'm really doing something great, blah, blah, blah. What a waste of energy and time. I should be investing in people that are ready and hungry to receive the message that I feel like God was putting in my heart. Instead, I was wasting my energy in this thought process, trying to convince myself to convince and please and prove to people that I was doing something good. Waste of energy, ladies. Don't go there. Okay. You're probably not going to convince them no matter how successful. And my husband saying there's a great, no, it's not so great, but it feels good at times. And it's from Les Brown. It's success is the greatest revenge. And I've been often tempted to say that, even though I don't want to allow myself to think that because I don't think that's a great motive. But Ryan would always tell me, January, even if you've launched your bestseller book, even if you've created, and created a coaching program and created success, they would probably still find something negative. And that's probably the truth. That's what the critics do. They criticize. They see the negative because they have chosen to do so, but it's not your problem to solve, ladies. Their perception has shaped their view in life, and you could probably see it manifest in their life. Chances are the critics out there have small lives. I will almost guarantee it. Look at people out there that are charging forward, that are successful in their personal and their professional life and are just thriving. They're probably going to be the first person to say, I never want to criticize because I know what it's like to slave away and work so hard to achieve these great dreams. And I feel that way. I feel like, gosh, I can't ever, sort of criticize. Like, the climb is not easy to chase our dreams. I just want to encourage women because I know what it feels like to slave away to try to chase that dream. Number 7, you need to see your critics with compassion, with a compassionate heart, because there's a good chance that they're steeped in fear and inaction. It's the word, because they have buried their own dreams. And that's a really good place for me to feel as though that was sort of the point where, reflection and that betrayal. I'm like, chances are they're actually buried their own dreams. So I have to look at them with compassion because they're probably steeped in fear, and what a prison they're in. What a prison they're in. They've convinced themselves that dreaming is vain and unrealistic due to their lack of skill and really lack of openness of mindset. So then they lack the courage to pursue it. When we're not open and we're rigid in our mind, doors cannot open. So even though we want that dream, chances are that dream's going to go stale, and we're just going to start believing that dreams are pipe dreams because they were never open to anything different that would give them the skill and the mindset to achieve something outside of their comfort zone. Therefore, they could not possibly have the eyes to see those dreams. Number 8, relationship goes through season. Relationship changes, and sometimes there's a death of friendship, and that's okay. And sometimes that's there to protect your sanity. The truth is that friendships are accompaniment in certain seasons of our life, and that's normal. And so it's okay. I want you to just let it go and realize that this is just part of the journey. Last, an attack to our dreams is an attack of our self-worth. That's so important because our dreams are so connected to our value, because nobody can ever fulfill the dreams except for us. We're here. We're so valuable. And that makes our dreams so valuable. So if you understand that the unique dream is placed in your heart, that it's so valuable because no other woman can pursue that dream except us, then we can understand that we need to protect that dream. Okay. So I have just given you a little bit of how to deal with the critics. I've given you a ton. What I'm going to do in the next webinar is to give you the actual script. Okay. So this is sort of a 2-part series so that you can ingest what I'm saying. I want you to share this with some friends of yours, and you can see the scripts here that I'm going to be talking about the next few days. So really digest it, ingest it, and then we're going to talk about the scripts and how to face the critics. I'm actually going to give you real tools. Ladies, thank you so much for watching. This is your guide, January Donovan. Remember, go out there and master your work so you can protect your dreams and truly, truly, truly become a light in the world. In the meantime, share this video with women who you know are being criticized, and just women in general. Put this in your wall, share it on Instagram, share it on Facebook, because we need each other to collaborate and stop criticizing. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week with the scripts on how to hold critics accountable.